Mm, Well, because at the end of the day, what you're doing is you're investing in processes that need to produce produce, that needs to produce leafy greens or what have you. And so that's a different level of complexity than, for example, a SaaS business
Or car company.
or a car company or what have you. So there is some specialized knowledge that is necessary now on the on investments in a bit more focused on vertical farming. What we've seen over the past years is that actually, well, quite some parties were not really 100% aware of the risks that they were taking. So actually, it's funny enough. We're 2024. The major investments in vertical farming started around 2014. So we have 10-year. We have a decade behind us of investments. What you saw from my point of view, but happy to be corrected on that, is that you had a first wave of like first movers, a lot in the US, 2014, 15, 16, what have you. And those were like the ones that were pioneering when for the first time we kind of heard these things like super efficiency, we use 95% less water and all these things that were a bit novel. And so a lot of people that bought into this, a lot of investors that bought into this. They said, this is great, this is crazy, we're going to change the world. Then you had a second wave where all of a sudden you had multiple of these businesses that were raising hundreds of millions of dollars or euros. And the premise there was we're going to be the new Google, we're going to be the Google of the farming industry.
Right.
So, this is whatever it was. But obviously, we've seen end of 2023 and leading up to the end of 2023, a number of these businesses going bankrupt because of a very simple thing, and that's in the third wave that I see. It is a wave around much more realism and around unit economics. And at the end of the day, and that's absolutely true, and that's something that I think the Netherlands was a bit spared from. Because a lot of these funding rounds, these huge funding rounds, they were focused on the US and some of the other European countries. You never really saw those extreme things in the Netherlands, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, you're right.
And that's because at the end of the day, it's about growing. And at the end of the day, there's this realism of, well, you put in €1 and then you're going to expect some kind of return in the future. That realism was already ingrained in Dutch culture because of the fact that there's 12 or 13,000 hectares of greenhouses here.
Right.
And because there's actual growers that know how to grow. And that's, for me, like the third wave that we're going into, with much more focus on unit economics and with much less focus on the big fuzzy stories that, well, are very interesting if you want to dream, but not so interesting if you actually want to change something.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that the Dutch are being used also